Hey, this is Irene talking faith, love, and trends right here on CBiz Media. This time we're going to get into Single Life, a 90-Day Fiancé spin-off show. 90 Day Fiancé fans, you guys know that it's a reality show. One person's from the U.S., the other's from another country. We get to see their ups and downs, and we get to see all of these different cultural barriers, language boundaries, the deadlines. And just on top of that, all the craziness that ensues with this type of arrangement here is 90 Day Fiancé. This spinoff is the Single Life. Now, the couples that I've seen thus far that are going to be featured, not couples, I'm forgetting. This is Single Life. So we're going to see Vanya, we're going to see Liz, we're going to see Gino, Sophie, Kimbalay, Pedro, Courtney, and Colt. As far as I know, these are who we're going to see. But we're also seeing Julia. Why? Because she's going to be hanging out with Sophie in the DR because Sophie's new man is Pedro. They met up with each other a few times and he invited her to the DR for, I think, family birthday party. So she invited Julia and Liz to join her. And we kind of go through each person's relationship fails. You know, they kind of recap that as they talk about each person. Relationship fails and red flags seem to be the main attraction, the main theme of this episode. Gino, I'm not a big fan, but as long as Jasmine's not there, let's see what's going to happen. He says he's looking for some young, beautiful, single women. Does he deserve that? I don't think so. I'm not a fan of his. I'm not a fan of Jasmine's either, but you know, if I had to choose, it would be Gino over Jasmine, but Gino has his issues as well. I think he needs to lose the hat generally. Like, I saw him working out wearing the hat and it was cool for that type of scenario, but for you to wear a hat, I don't even care if it's a different hat for a different occasion. The hat is just not working. To me, it's giving me retirement home type vibes. Sorry, Gino. It is what it is. At the gym, he asked the young lady to take some selfies of him while he's on the bike. Like, sir, that's not a selfie. A selfie is when you hold the camera yourself. If the other person takes it, it's just a picture. His age is showing up a bit, I guess. I'm not that young either, but come on, Gino. So he goes to the singles event. I'm sorry if I'm giving Gino such a hard time. He goes to this singles event and he said, you know, it's been 30 years since he's actually met a woman and asked a woman out in person. Before the internet, he used classified ads. So they're at this event. I guess they have all different types of activities. So one thing is they're playing kickball. It looks like Gino does pretty good. He attracts a couple ladies. They talk with him together, both the ladies, and he reveals that, hey, I think they asked him what brings him here and when did he get divorced. He said, well, I'm actually not divorced yet. So that's the first no. He's giving me Rob vibes because that's what Rob did when he came on to the Hunt for Love franchise. So please don't do anything until your divorce clears. I mean, if you're going to do something, maybe just do it off camera. But, you know, it really, to me, is kind of a bad look to start trying to get with people when you're not yet divorced. And I made a mistake of talking to someone that was not yet divorced, and it looked like they ended up not ever planning on getting divorced. So that was a big issue and a bad thing for me, and I learned my lesson. And even these two ladies that were talking to Gino, they were skeptical. They were like, yeah, that's a super big red flag. He was really nervous and they noticed that. They're just kind of laughing it up at him. And he's scared of the one-on-one in-person rejection. He'd rather do things online. He says at least you know the person has some desire for you or attraction to you. At least they've said yes online to you, so you have something to work with versus just getting rejected off the front. So he's going to the grocery store, again looking like he's in retirement age, not trying to make light of anyone in retirement age because I think that's an awesome time and beautiful. But if you're trying to get young single women, I think you need to change your vibe a bit. Unless you want to get women around your age, then keep doing what you're doing. Anyway, he went to the store, went to the meat counters, like I can finally buy meat because my ex didn't eat meat. And I almost felt like he was going to try to ask out the young lady that was working the meat counter. She was looking a bit lost, but she was friendly. I don't know if she would have said yes or no for the date. Maybe she was already taken, but he didn't do that. He then talks about how women have been DMing him, sliding in his DMs, giving him a lot of love. Even his ex Natalie, who he was with, I think he said 8 months ago, and her and Jasmine got into it, but Natalie's still open to actually talk with him after the whole issues with Jasmine that was involved. So he said he really likes Natalie. He's probably going to try to go back with that. The thing about the rejection, though, when you deal with people that fear rejection so deeply, it feels like they'll take anyone that will accept them. It's a little bit desperate, and it's a little bit like, hey, at least I know this lady likes me. I like her. Let me go back to what worked. To me, it just seems a bit desperate, and you need to really open your options and open your mind, and not to be in such a desperate state. So I think people can smell that on you as well, and see that on you, especially in the world of dating. Do you guys agree? So let's get into Kimbalay. So Kimbalay, she went through a big weight loss. She was with Usman. And she said, she used to be a sharpshooter. She jumped out of planes, all in the military, saying just how bad she was. And at the time, she is now playing laser tag with a blind date. She talks about the whole fail with Usman. She could have been a sister wife at some point, because she knew she wasn't going to be able to have kids because of the age difference. But she loved him so much, she was open to it. But she said she snapped back to her sister senses and said, no sister wife for me. She's on this date with this guy, Javier. And she talks a little bit to him and finds out he is still living with an ex along with another young lady. He's in his 50s. So that's a big red flag for her. The fact that he has roommates in his 50s and one of them is his ex. So she's not really going for that. And when they say goodbye, they do a high five and it's goodbye. I feel like they weren't compatible, and there was not even a hug, not even a, how you do the sympathy kind hug, like I'm a nice person type hug. And all I saw was a high five. So we know her son, Jamal. Jamal shops in her refrigerator, as sons do. He has his own place, but of course he's going to go to mom's fridge. He says, maybe you need to slow down on dating for all the things you have going on. She's like, well, for the last 3 years, some things have been going on, and I haven't been honest with my son, and my son and I don't have the best relationship. She lied to him, basically. We don't know why. So she's keeping her secret for now. So she works at a spa, we find out, and she goes and hangs out with her friend after, one of her work friends is there, and they all go together to meet. And they have kind of set her up to be on this thing called Pitch a Friend. All your wing women or wing men come pitch you to the singles crowd, and they get to pick whether they want to talk to you. So she's a little embarrassed by the way they come up there. They're trying to show her love, but they mentioned that she has a lot of cats. And if you're allergic, she's done with you. They made her sound like a cat lady, honestly. She says she's in her 50s. And everyone there is 20, though that wasn't true. It was a guy there who was 42. And I think there was a guy that said he was under 45, but that's her limit, was 45. I think she doesn't want anything above that. She doesn't want to go back through the Usman days and trying to go with a younger man. She says she's never felt loved before, and she really wants to feel that sometime in her lifetime. When she met with her friend, one of the friends, I feel like she kissed her friend in the lips. Please let me know if you saw that. Did she really do that? If so, think it's a bit weird. But anyway, I honestly think Kimberly is probably a catch, a cool person. I think she needs just a bit of a makeover, just to zhuzh herself up a little bit, especially when she goes out on dates. Once you're with the guy, hey, just do what you're going to do and be naturally yourself. And of course, she is still dressed up from time to time, but I think she needs a little bit of zhuzh to like just give her a little bit more of a hit, a one up over, the competition of the other women that are out there. But, she's not too worried about it because she still gets it in the bedroom. She lets her girls know she has other plans and that she's going to hook up with a guy. I guess they all know that she probably introduced them to before. And this guy is kind of just like what they say, a booty call. So she's like, she still has to get hers just because she's older. People think that older women don't want it. Well, she's saying that she does. And I guess we'll see that guy coming up. All right, so now let's get into Pedro, Sophie, Liz, and Julia. And Julia's there. Why? She's there to be, I guess, a wing woman and a friend to Sophie. She lets us know that, yes, her marriage is fine and she's pregnant, but it's a secret at this time as they're taping. I think we all know that she is. And she has drinks. She's getting all her drinks to be virgin drinks, but she doesn't want the girls to know because it's a secret that she's pregnant and she's superstitious, so she doesn't want to put it out there. And I understand a bit where she's coming from. Of course, we go back over Liz's failed relationship with Big Ed. And then the other guy that came after that. And she tells us about her cancer battle as well. And she says she just wants to now live her life to the fullest. So she's up for doing some things. But she looks great to me. She looks healthy. She looks good. So I think her chances are good. Just don't find another jerk. She says she's a relationship jumper. She picks the wrong guys and she stays from one relationship to the next monogamously. She doesn't really date. So she kind of needs to learn how and work that out with herself in dating and not just committing to people that just aren't the right people and giving them a little bit too much of your time, right? So then we have Sophie who, she talks about Pedro, saying she just happened upon him. She knows he's from that show, but she doesn't know much about the details. Why do you not know much? She is only 26, so maybe she just didn't care to review it. Short attention span, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, she knows Pedro doesn't have the greatest reputation. But she says she's going to find out for herself who this guy really is. So they met up a few times, and on their first date, he bought her a $2,000 bracelet. First he asked her what would be her dream date. And, he did everything that she said. But that's how the guy reels you in. Don't give too much information about what your dream anything is, because they're going to do that for the first time, reel you in, and after that, you're never going to see that same thing again. But she's saying, hey, Pedro still sends her flowers and does all these amazing things for her. And I thought that was great, but I felt it was a bit shallow because that's kind of more what she focused on. Pedro seems like he's madly in love. He's upset about the way his marriage ended with Chantel, and he really blames her family just for being too much in the way and her never standing up for him. But he is trying to continue to impress Sophie. He wants his happily ever after. He wants to get married, and I guess he's like 33 and he's feeling like an old maid man or something, even though he's got many years ahead, and men actually have a one-up on us because they have many years where they can continue to reproduce. He's looking the best ever. He's looking really fit. He looks good. I still don't know if I like him as a person, but I don't know if I like Chantel either, really. I think they both had their own issues, but maybe he could redeem himself with this situation with Sophie. So he has this awesome looking van set up for her with, candles. And it was funny how Julia was just like, candles in the van, candles in the van. She was just wild over candles in the van. They weren't real candles. They were just cute, flickery, light up candles. They weren't real. But anyway, he had rose petals in there, and he had a special van so they can be transported throughout the DR. So he did a lot. So now Sophie is feeling a little nervous. Like, is he doing too much? Is he coming on too strong? And then when they get to the club, Julia gives him a better hug than Sophie does. And they go to meet his friends. And I don't know if she didn't know that they were going to meet his friends, but she feels like now this is like a big deal and it's too much. And she feels like she's supposed to say a speech. What am I supposed to do with these people looking at me? So she goes to the restroom and takes the girls with her. And the friends are like, hey, she doesn't really look like she's into you. And Pedro doesn't know how to react. He's really happy and excited. But she doesn't seem to be so much. And to me, she's giving me a little what she gave me when she was with Rob. She was happy to be with Rob, but she seemed like she would get an attitude and not really feel it. And it seemed like it was coming from out of nowhere. And maybe it's nerves for her. I don't know if this is a reoccurring thing. Maybe it's just nerves. I don't know. She's still a youngin' and still only 26 and probably still need to figure out what she wants. And if she feels like it's a little bit too much, then maybe that's the case. All right, guys, now let's go to Gino. Gino is going to meet Natalie in Washington. And he's saying she's not like Jasmine. He doesn't need his blue pill with her because she's kind of a cool person inside and out and not ugly in the inside and a total you-know-what. This is the thing that Gino said. So he's on his way to meet her now, meeting her at a tea shop, then going to her place. Let's see how that goes. Now we're going to go back to Pedro and Sophie, as well as Liz and Via, which is one of Pedro's friends. He kind of formally introduces Via to Liz. They have a vibe. They even look similar to me. He actually reminds me of the ex that she was with after Ed. So they both have a kid. You know, they just are getting along very well. So there may be some sparks there going on. Pedro pulls Sophie aside. And she's saying, you know, I don't want to lead him on. And, you know, they're dancing. She's like, I don't want to get too close to him because, you know, I don't want him to think that, you know, I'm up for everything, right? But, you know, they start talking about her ex and the situation with the divorce. He finds out she's just started filing. So she's not even halfway through this process. And that kind of makes him a little bit red flaggy. But then she starts talking about, well, he asked, did they hook up? Like, he still calls, and they did hook up, and so she's saying, you know, she can't just put this down because she loved this person, even though he was a jerk. So she's kind of making it sound like she still has a thing for her ex, and Pedro says he's not here for it. You know, if you want to be with your ex, go ahead. If you want to be with somebody else, go ahead. Just don't play any games with me, and I totally get where he's going with that scenario. So finally, we get to go see Kimbalay. Kimbalay is going to see her friend with benefits, Benjamin, also known as B. He calls himself B because he's buzzing around everywhere when we don't know where he'll land. Doesn't sound like a stable man to me. I think he's 44. He's her friend with benefits. But, you know, she kind of touts that with her friends. Like, yeah, it's just a booty call. You know, we tried to date. It didn't work. And, you know, that was before Usman and it just didn't work. So now we're doing this friends with benefit thing. And they meet up at a hotel like every 2 weeks because he has roommates. Sounds like an unstable man to me. It really does. And she said she doesn't want him at her house because she doesn't know if her son Jamal's going to be dropping through. So this is the arrangement that they have. But as she's there and they're talking, and she's like, hey, you know, I remember the hotels we used to go to. This is like a step up. We look how far we've come. So it's kind of sad because it's like, you sound like you are in a relationship with this guy, but you guys go from hotel to hotel. So the nice hotel is like you getting a nice house together. It was just a little bit much. And then she says, you know, hopefully one day B will want to settle down. I was like, well, wait a minute. I thought that you just thought this guy was a friend with benefits. You didn't want any more than that. So she still has the desire, the thought process, and the mindset that, hey, this could be something. He's like, well, it's just going to take time. I'm sorry, but how much time is it really going to take? She was off and on with you before Usman. If he don't want you, girl, he don't want you. He's just sleeping with you, enjoying the amenities. And I wouldn't be surprised if she was also helping him and giving him things that we have not seen yet. So then we get to this big secret that Kimbalay has been sharing, has been holding, and I'm glad that they got to the secret. I thought they were going to wait till the end of the season, but the reason that her son, Jamal, and her have a rift between each other is because she has another full-blood son. So what happened was Jamal's dad, they were with each other while she was in the military, off and on for 7.5 years. He always cheated. So I guess that's why the relationship did not turn out working. So I guess she had never married. And she actually got pregnant with this man's child earlier on. And he wanted to abort the child. She said she couldn't do that. So she had the child and adopted it. So it's news for Jamal that she didn't tell him this information. He's like, your mom is the one person you could trust with everything. And if you can't even trust your mom with information like this, then who can you trust in the world? And I totally get he was let down. But then we come to find out, okay, the young man, she kind of reconnected with him. Jamal knows about him. Like last year, they went to go see him. And he's going to come to visit her and see, how she grew up and all of this. Because when they mentioned some guy, Larry, I was like, is this the guy she used to see? No, this is actually her long lost son. So this is turning into another show here as far as finding long lost parents. I think there's another show on TLC that has something like that with people that are adopted. So this is turning into another show. So I was like, wow, this is a pretty big thing that she kept. I'm like, wow, is she really just now revealing this on the show? I mean, this is good TV if this is real in reality. And this all may be true, but I'm wondering just how long Jamal knew about it. I'm wondering if the way they're putting it out as if he's just finding out. He's technically not. A year ago, they went to go see him, so he knows about the son. But of course, he wants to meet his big brother and be supportive, but I could still see why he would have a grudge. She's been holding the secret for the last 3 years. The child found her on through Ancestry and found her and Jamal. So we find out it's about 30, I assume, because she says this is a 30-year-old secret. He also has a wife and a couple of kids, I think. So she says she's a grandma. So this is really a great thing. She said he became a great man. So she's very happy the fact that she did make the choices she made, and I'm happy too. I'm glad that she did not abort the child, and the child still lives. She said the son looks just like her, but she just doesn't know him because of the adoption scenario. So now she's getting that chance. She does have a lot going on. Jamal's like, should you be thinking about dating when you have all these things going on? Well, look, there's another bombshell. There's another child here that I guess Jamal at least knew about this child, but he did not know. Larry does not know about the fact that Kimbalay has a daughter. So they have a sister. So this was like the huge bombshell of the night for the show. Kimbalay really did get around. I don't know if she's had any abortions in her past, but she does have 3 kids, and we only knew about 1. I think this is like a big story, and it's a lot going on with her. She never felt loved in life. Now she's trying to find a man. An ongoing process. So this is a very interesting story that I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen next. I'm also into the fact with Pedro and Sophie. Sophie still seems shut off and cut off. She was cut off from her husband and shut off from him. So now she's going to do that same thing with her next relationship, claiming because she's connected to her ex, maybe. But I think it's something else going on with you, Sophie, that you need to explore. And he's saying he doesn't want to be a rebound, collateral damage. And he's right. I think she needs some healing. She needs to go through this process. The divorce process is something that I think in a way it's a time for you to heal. It's not just to jump into the next relationship. The timing that it takes for you to go through this, you should at least take that much time to heal and not jump to the next person. Alright, so guys, that's my thoughts for this episode of Single Life. it looks promising, and we'll be checking back in when it comes to this show. Not sure of the timetable of how I'm going to do things, but we're going to be definitely checking back in with Single Life. Thoughts, comments, questions, email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com. We'll talk again, guys. All the best, and God bless. Check us out on our other platforms at cbiztvmedia.com.